Hey guys, what is up? It is No Help, and welcome back to another video today. So today I'm going to be talking about why I quit Runescape 3. I made a video about this when I actually quit the game, but I know a lot of people have been moving on and went on to RS3, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think it's actually a good thing for the growth of the game in general, but I'm going to be talking about today why I ended up quitting Runescape 3 and moved fully on to old school Runescape. So the evolution of combat was released into the game in about 2012, and that changed the game that we all loved forever. The evolution of combat basically changed the basic and simple combat that we all have loved and fell in love with for the past, decade of our lives, and we were so used to it. I have been a skiller at heart pretty much since the first day I started this game, so having this adjustment really didn't affect me all that much when the evolution of combat was first released into the game, and seeing how when it was first released into the game, I tried it out and I didn't mind it. I thought, this is actually really cool. And then I saw the numbers of people online and I was like, wow, this actually made a crazy change. Yeah, we went from having over 100,000 people online to about 20,000 people online within a month of the evolution of combat being released, and this was pretty dangerous. And I decided to stick with it, and I kept playing the game. And there's less people online, so there's more open resources for us to take. Every Slayer task was completely empty, and I was like, this is awesome. But more and more bad updates just happening. Then they released, from Evolution of Combat, they actually released RuneScape 3, and I was actually really excited for RuneScape 3. They had you could customize everything about your game. You could move your skills wherever you wanted. You could move your ability bar to wherever you wanted. And, it seemed like it was going really good. And, I really liked that you can customize your interface. Don't get me wrong, I love the old interface like this. And I cannot go back after, playing old school for so long. I would never go back to RuneScape 3 with that interface. But at the time, I was like, this interface is awesome. It's really cool, and I can customize it to however I like. It kind of reminded me of when you had an iPhone or something like that, you couldn't customize anything. But if you had a Samsung, you could fully customize the phone and pretty much make it do whatever you wanted. But the thing is no one else played the game anymore. Everyone else quit. So you couldn't have these amazing memories with all these people. You couldn't have funny memories. And it just kind of seemed like you were playing a single player game. Wherever you went, there was nobody. You could go to a most popular place like the wilderness, or even just the Grand Exchange. The Grand Exchange was empty on every single world besides World 1. And there was just so much hate towards RuneScape when that happened. Everyone could quit the game. There were so many videos popping up online about why RuneScape is gonna die and how Jagex sucks and all this stuff. And I was just kind of being like, guys, just give it a try. It's really not that bad. I mean, I was never into PVMing, and now that I am into PVMing, I can see why the evolution of combat totally fucking ruined the game. It just made everything so much easier because it was so imbalanced at the start of the thing. You could literally, when the evolution of combat first came out, basically the fire cape was I wouldn't say one of the hardest things back then, but it was pretty difficult to obtain a fire cape pre-EOC. It is how it is in old school RuneScape now, basically. And basically you could just AFK an entire fire cape on a low level account, which is magic, when evolution of combat first came out. And it was just brutal. There was abilities that healed your health. You just didn't take any damage, and you didn't need runes to cast spells. You didn't need arrows to fire ammunition. The game just didn't make any sense. But I just stuck with the game for a while, and then they were talking about old school RuneScape. And unfortunately, I never got to play old school RuneScape when it was first released into the game. I really wish I got to and experience the first days where it was just super busy and everyone was DCing and lagging out and stuff like that. But I was like, this is just gonna be a little private server for a couple of months, maybe a year, and then the hype for it will die down and everyone will return to RuneScape 3. That's genuinely what I thought would happen. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought that would happen, that old school would just never succeed, and that RuneScape 3 would eventually just, come back, or if it didn't come back, it would just stick to the 20-25k players it had, and RuneScape itself would just die out. When old school was actually a few months after it was first released, I ended up making a main account. Obviously, they didn't have Ironman mode back then, and I played it for, I'm gonna say, half a year. I got a couple 99s, I got to do some of the old questing again, and I had a lot of fun with the game. I think I had a lot of fun with the game though, is because everyone on YouTube was playing old school RuneScape, and it felt like the community for old school RuneScape was just so much better and so much stronger than RuneScape 3. Everything you heard about RuneScape 3 was just bad, terrible game, shit game, nobody played it, they ruined the game. So like, you don't want to play a game when everyone else hates the game, you know what I mean? And I think that's why I went on to old school. I eventually got so burnt out of playing old school. I actually just made a video about why I play Ironman mode, and I truly think if there was not Ironman mode, I don't think I would play old school RuneScape at all. I might even be playing RuneScape 3 right now if they didn't have Ironman mode. But or I just probably wouldn't even be playing RuneScape at all. But yeah, I got so burnt out of a main account. It's just the same thing over and over again. And why was I doing the exact same thing I was doing on RuneScape 3, but 10 times slower? And yes, I did enjoy the first little bit of old school, and I did have a lot of fun with it, but why was I doing the exact same thing I could be doing on RuneScape 3, but RuneScape 3 had 10 times XP rates than old school did? So it just kind of was just like, I was lost. Like, I didn't know which game to play, I didn't know what to do, and I ended up just stopping playing RuneScape altogether for, I'm gonna say, 3 to 6 months. It was probably about 4 to 5 months, actually, something like that. I just barely played. Like, I went on like once a week maybe to check it out, and I just couldn't ask myself to do these grinds on both of the games. I was just so burnt out of it. I started playing like Minecraft and things like that again, and then for a long time I just like was AFK from the computer for a few months, and it was just like so weird to me because I would always be playing a game or something like that, and then I had a lot of spare time. I think I just worked a shit ton or something. Then RuneScape 3 started gaining a little bit more popularity, and I would be watching videos on it, and they released the Elf City, and I was really excited about the Elf City. My favorite YouTuber of all time is Alcan, and he was going into this Elf City and getting these crazy XP rates, and it just looked like a lot of fun. So I, grinded out all the requirements, all the quest requirements on my RuneScape 3 account, and unlocked the Elf City within a few months after it was released. That sounds terrible, but I wasn't a quester, I wasn't a PVMer, I was a skiller at heart, like I've always been. So basically I just grinded out all of the requirements for the Elf City, and unlocked the Elf City, and the addiction for RuneScape 3 just was crazy after that. I already had a maxed account on RuneScape 3, and I pretty much went for everything, and I started going for like 200 mils, and I started getting into Slayer, and doing a lot of other content that I just never enjoyed before, and just having Elf City, having the max cape, having all of these things, I really got back into the game, and I was seriously gonna go for max experience at one point. I remember I was like, I will hit max experience. I did get a lot of XP. I think I had like 1.5 billion XP on RuneScape 3, and I, was playing it every single day, but there was points where I would AFK the game for like a year just to do like, I got like 160 mil mining, I got 200 mil invention, I got 200 mil dungeoneering, I think like 80 mil rune crafting, there was a bunch of like 50 mils there, I got like 70 mil magic, and like I was on the road to 200 mil all. But it just got so boring and so repetitive once you do this for so long. And I think what happened to me was I was playing, I jumped back into old school when they made Ironman mode. And that was the complete fall in love with the game again. I just made a video, like I said, that talks about why I do love Ironman mode. So if you do want, I will leave a link to the link in the description for that video. Yeah, this is why I pretty much play Ironman mode. But I fell in love with RuneScape again. It was exactly like I wanted the game to be. It didn't have basically Iron Man can't use the Grand Exchange, and you had to do everything yourself, gather all the items yourself, and I just, lost focus on RuneScape 3, and I would play the game a lot when they had like a double experience weekend and stuff like that. Like I remember over some double XP weekends, I'd gain like 80 mil XP in 2 days. And yeah, it was pretty crazy, but I pretty much only had fun, I would say, on RuneScape when it had double XP, which was like once every few months, right? Like they just kept pumping all these extra bonuses. You could refer a friend to gain 7% extra XP a month. You had the Squeal of Fortune, you had dailies, and dailies is also what burnt me out of the game. I did dailies for dungeoneering for like over a year to gain my 200 mil dungeoneering, and I had dailies for divination. There was just, the whole game was just dailyscape. So like before you actually played the game, you had to do 2 to 3 hours of dailies. and it just wasn't fun anymore. It was just like I'm doing the exact same thing every single day to gain a massive amount of XP for a skill that I'm already maxed. I just want to play old school. So I, went to mine for a year because mining was still relatively slow at the time for RuneScape 3 anyways. It was still like 250k XP an hour, all 100% AFK. But yeah, I went to do mining, and I figured I'd do 200 mil smithing after 200 mil mining. And, it was a lot. I stayed up the Seren stones for like 2 years of my life, and whenever a bonus XP weekend, I would go train Herblore, or go train construction, or go train prayer, and I would always be wearing those Silverhawk feather boots and gain like 5 mil agility over a weekend. And it just got to the point where the last time I actually played RuneScape 3 was on a double experience weekend. And double experience weekend, I gained so much XP, and I was doing smithing actually at the time, and they just made that smithing and mining rework. I don't know when that was, probably like 4 years ago now or something, but it still seems new to me because that's when I quit the game. Over the weekend, I went from 20 million experience in smithing to about 68 million experience in smithing, and I really didn't even have that much supplies. I saved all my Slayer dummies as well from the fucking Squeal of Fortune, and I gained like 6 or 8 mil, something like that, Slayer in an hour from doing the Slayer dummies. And it's just like, this game is so stupid. Like, why am I gaining so much XP? And the day after the bonus experience weekend, I logged back into the game, and just getting that worse XP was like, why am I playing this game? Like, I should seriously only log in when they have a double XP weekend. Anything I do off double XP is such a waste of time, right? Like, you go from gaining 7 to 8 mil experience an hour to gaining 3 mil XP an hour again, and it just seems so slow. So why would I train any viable when it's not double XP? So I pretty much had to wait to train every viable skill until they had a bonus experience weekend. And that's not fun. That's not RuneScape. That's not the game I fell in love with playing. And I made a quitting video. Yeah, I made a video when I quit the game, and I said I'm probably going to be still uploading some old school RuneScape videos. Thank God I did. But yeah, that's pretty much why I quit the game, is I felt like bonus XP, it was daily scape, it was just all the same thing over and over again. And the bossing was, not fun either, like, it was just, you could AFK any one of the God Wars bosses for 100 KC with, like, no food. And it just, I for old school for me to get a couple kills at Bandos, I need to bring, like, a full inventory of Sarah Brews. I have to be, and it just makes the game a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable. Like, I'd be getting a full Bandos every single trip that I'd go to General Gardor. It was just stupid. Very stupid. But, yeah, I ended up, just not playing that game anymore. I haven't logged into the game for well over a year now. Probably close to 2 years I haven't logged into RuneScape 3. And do I miss it? No, I do not miss it at all. There's parts of the game that I do miss. I do miss because I'm a numbers guy. I love looking at graphs and all this from over time. And I love to, look at the graphs and be like, I gained 60 million XP this month. That's pretty much the only thing I miss about that game. And I do miss the 120 capes. I do not think they would fit at all into RuneScape, and I'm never saying that they should be in RuneScape, but I do miss the 120 capes. They did look pretty cool. And keepsake keys were cool too, but then again, I would not want those on old school. They fit well into RuneScape 3, and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't miss the game at all. If I ever did play RuneScape 3 again, it would definitely be on an Ironman account. A bunch of my friends are actually playing RuneScape 3, and they play Ironman accounts. Ironman accounts on RuneScape 3 do not have bonus XP, they do not have Squeal of Fortune, they do not have all of the overpowered things. Like, they don't even have dailies, I don't think. They have some dailies, like cash and stuff like that, but they don't have the overpowered dailies where you can just gain, like, stupid amounts of XP, like sinkholes and stuff like that. So if I ever did play RuneScape 3 again, which, who knows, maybe in the future I will make a RuneScape 3 Ironman, but for now, the answer is no. And I do not miss playing the game. But yeah, anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I had a lot of fun recording this video, and thank you guys for all the support on the channel as always. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.